thank you all for joining us here today. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you may be located. As Miriam mentioned, this is part of our Originate More webinar series. With the intent of the whole series is really to help you, the mortgage loan officer or originator, in fact, originate more loans. We hope to give you some knowledge on certain subjects, maybe some tips on how to hunt for that business, and of course, hopefully how we can help you close those loans. So we will touch on foreign national loans today. Again, I'm Jamie Gilso, joined by Jackie Weed. Jackie does oversee all of our third-party originations, operations, and credit. Quick agenda. We'll touch briefly on who we are and what we do, why partner with us. We'll touch on some foreign national data. Hopefully you can learn some items there about this market and its potential. Hopefully give you some hints on how to find this business, how to originate more foreign national business. Of course, a little bit about our foreign national program here, AHL, and how it can help you. We'll illustrate a couple of recently funded deals to give you some tangible examples. We'll have plenty of time for Q&A, and we'll, of course, give you some contact information. So real quick, who are we at American Heritage Lending? We are a nationwide wholesale non-QM lender. We were established in 2008. Our corporate office is in Irvine, California. Operations and sales teams are spread throughout the U.S. We have coverage sufficiently through all time zones. We have a seasoned group of management professionals with deep experience in non-agency lending, and I think that's reflected in some of our programs and the ability to make common sense exceptions. This is not our first time dealing with the non-agency sector. Who are we? Again, we are a lender that you can trust. We're very much a customer service oriented lender. We hear often from many of our customers via 5-star reviews and positive feedback about the experience, our technology, and our account managers. We do pride ourselves in not only service, but making common sense loans. We are our own guidelines. We write to our own guidelines. We don't have to sell away to others, and that's reflected in how we do some of these loans. Pardon me. Before we touch on foreign nationals, just real quickly, we do have a full suite of non-QM products. Bank statement loans, for example, with expense ratios as low as 20%. A variety of DSCR offerings. Couple that stick out is the availability to use the 1007 over the actual lease when beneficial, and LTVs up to 85% on DSCR. We actually have a bridge loan for primary residences, foreign nationals, as you'll see, up to 75 LTV, variety of programs for condos as well as condotels, asset depletion programs, standalone or in addition to, prime jumbo loans up to $4 million, including alt doc types, meaning bank statements, 1099 and P&Ls, and of course, as you see, the 1-year P&L program. We do have coverage in 48 states, really with the exception of the 2 Dakotas. We're one of the few non-QM lenders with a full non-QM license in the state of Massachusetts for TRID loans. And we do originate business purpose loans in both New York and Hawaii. While you may want to partner with us at AHL, as you saw, we have a robust offering of non-QM products. As mentioned, we do make common sense underwriting decisions every month. Over 40% of our business is some kind of exception to our guidelines on good loans that make sense. Very user-friendly client portal. We hear from our customers, your coworkers, etc., on a regular basis, the ease of use of our portal. We offer multiple delivery channels, including wholesale, correspondent, both non-delegated and delegated. And we feel we probably have the best-in-class turn times for non-QM from a KPI perspective, with the majority of our loans coming in and out every month in less than 30 days. So now let's give you some knowledge and information on the foreign national market. I think you'll be excited, hopefully, to see the potential here. In the time frame above, the 12-month period above, foreign national buyers accounted for 2.3% of the overall $2.3 trillion market of existing home sales. That was worth about $53 billion of U.S. residential properties purchased by foreign nationals. That's a big potential market. That was roughly 85,000 existing homes sold in that 12-month period. Again, a lot of potential. Pretty nice balance on average of 639 average purchase price. So most of your loans will be a decent loan size as well. So these are not small or necessarily inexpensive places. And to that point, 15% or more of foreign national borrowers or foreign national buyers did purchase properties worth more than $1 million. Some deeper stats into that, 42% of those foreign nationals paid cash, which means over half of them needed some kind of mortgage financing. So again, over half of that market that's somewhat untapped and unknown did need mortgage help. That's why we're here today. 76% of those folks purchased a single family or townhome. And you can see again, about half or more probably in some cases were for rental and or second homes, vacation, etc. 45% purchased in suburban areas, and we'll touch on some of those markets in a second. What is attracting foreign nationals to the U.S. market in general? Why is there this growth and this potential? Well, there's a few, and luckily some of it we take for granted as citizens of the U.S. The U.S. obviously has a pro-growth agenda in general. We're a capital environment, capitalist environment. Business environment is good. We have good, legal, well-defined framework for investments. Property rights are very defined in the U.S., as all of you know, when you go through your process of closing loan with title insurance, etc. Some of those things don't exist in foreign countries. So the fact that you could put yourself in the foreign nationals' shoes, you wanted to buy a house in Mexico or Canada or the Caribbean, you'd probably be pretty concerned about your rights as a foreign national property owner. The U.S. has great guidelines for that, as you know. U.S. real estate is, generally speaking, one of the better investments somebody can make in their life. So obviously there's potential for appreciation for foreign nationals. And exchange rates can come into play. I remember roughly 20 years ago when I worked in Canada for 2 years, the ratio to the dollar was very low. A lot of Canadians took advantage of that and bought properties in the U.S. So there's some real reasons why foreign national folks want to buy U.S.-based real estate. I think they make sense for many. Knowing that probably helps you look or talk to some of those folks, look for them or talk to them when you do come across. Who represents this group? So who are some of the biggest buyers, or where do these folks come from? As you can see here in this time period, China, over $13 billion worth bought from Chinese foreign nationals. Not shockingly, Canada and Mexico were right behind that. It's not uncommon for folks in those countries to have a second home or investment property in the U.S. India, a lot of folks come over, particularly for jobs. In Colombia as well, which was interesting. And where do they buy? So all those folks that are coming in, all the stats we just gave you, where are those transactions happening in what markets? I think some of these are pretty obvious, and honestly, one or two actually surprised me a bit. Obviously, Florida's number one. A lot of people want to have either a second home or a rental property in Florida. Can't blame them. California, of course, number two. Texas, not shocking. North Carolina, I found interesting. Arizona, we see a lot of. And Illinois, I found interesting. And so sometimes those markets can be tied to jobs, education, or family, quite frankly, based on demographics and population basis. So a lot of knowledge there in the foreign national market, and you all get a copy of this presentation. So now let's help you, again, we're here to help you try to originate more loans. That's the theme of this webinar series. So here we're trying to give you some tips based on folks that we deal with, lucky enough to work with in the past, and some of the things that we've learned from them. So there's a group called NAREP, if you're not familiar with them. That's the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. It is such a strong, great group of networking folks. Its mission is to advance sustainable Hispanic home ownership. While this group does handle a lot of owner-occupied, U.S.-based borrowers, it does also help and deal with foreign national borrowers. We just saw that a couple countries, particularly Mexico, are foreign national buyers in the U.S. quite a bit. There's a lot of business for this group. They're very well organized. To put that on display, look at the last 2 bullet points. I mean, the top 3 LOs through this organization in 2023 did a lot of loans, 1,300 of them for $588 million. So over 100 transactions a month just from 3 LOs. Tells you that there's a lot of potential in this group. There's a lot of value to NAREP. I've been lucky enough to associate with some of these folks. They're very professionally run. They have chapters throughout the U.S., as you can see here. They have a bunch of great seminars and networking events. So you, the LO, can in fact go to these events, get to know some of these folks. A lot of realtors are involved in this organization, as well as other real estate professionals. Annual membership fees are reasonable, and you'll meet a lot of folks here, and they may help you find more foreign national loans. Same thing can be said for ARIA, another great organization, Asian Real Estate Association of America. Over 18,000 people belong to this group. Again, you see real estate professionals, mortgage professionals, overall real estate professionals involved. I've been lucky enough to work with ARIA in different chapters, particularly in Boston, where I'm from, in case my accent didn't give it away. And just a well-run group, done a lot of business. 43 chapters throughout the US, bunch of great networking events, all kinds of training webinars, a lot of realtor activity. Again, membership fees are very reasonable. So UDLO could, in certain markets, if it's applicable for you, get involved with some of these chapters. These are true networking groups. So what I mean is they like to do business with folks in their network. Again, put yourself in the shoes of some of these borrowers. These are literally non-citizens coming from a foreign land. They're looking for extra layers of comfort. It can be a scary transaction. So dealing with some of these networking groups that are familiar with those folks can really help you grow that piece of the business. There's other ways to grow the foreign national business that we've seen. You do have to think outside the box a bit. You can partner with other professionals that chase this business. So some examples. We've actually had one loan officer that gives us a lot of business. She's of Chinese descent. She has a couple realtors in the US that she does business with, and then she has a realtor in China that she does business with. And they do a lot of co-branded marketing and advertising, to the point where over the last few years, they've built a business till they'll have small junkets or small groups of Chinese borrowers come over to the US, where they'll hook up with local realtors, show them houses over a period of time, and then of course, hopefully they'll transact, and if they need a mortgage, this loan officer is there to help them. So really, really good marketing there. Again, there's a lot of that stuff available. You have to be a little creative. You have to connect some dots. I think that's why they call it sales. Social media has a lot of outlets to find these buyers. I mean, if just going on Facebook and if you Google or type in, pardon me, Canadian buyers of U.S. real estate, there's a myriad of groups and resources there that can help you. And then also, beyond those groups or those things, think outside the box a bit in your own markets. So for example, I mentioned Boston. There's 33 colleges in Boston. There's a lot of Chinese folks that send their kids to school in Boston. And when they do so, they actually buy a condo. So the child and sometimes the mother will live there during the school season. So that might be specific to a market with a lot of foreign students, professionals as well, whether it be the medical field or the tech field. You have certain markets, if you work or are related to those markets, where there's a heavy influence of those industries. They're bringing a lot of foreign national folks, and a lot of those folks end up buying real estate. So hoping that, again, and you'll get a copy of this, some of those groups and some of these tips that we've learned from people like yourselves and other pros will help you find some of this business and of course, originate more loans. So how can we help? So now you've, got some knowledge, you found some avenues, and now you've got a few loans. So how can we help you actually close these loans that you've originated? Well, we've got a robust foreign national offering that we'll go over here. LTV up to 75 on a purchase. One of the few lenders that will now allow not just investment properties, but also a second home. Gift funds are allowed. We understand the foreign national market fairly well. So for example, we understand in China, the max that a person can take out of the country each year is $50,000. So we know that on a foreign national buyer from China, on a $1 million purchase, we'll have multiple gift letters, because 50,000 is the max. So we think we understand the business well, and we can help you understand it also. Again, one of the few lenders that do not require a visa, just a passport. We have no cap on cash out transactions with foreign nationals. If there's no FICO, we'll default to a 680, just for your own knowledge. And we do offer, again, one of the few to offer multiple income types on foreign nationals, not just DSCR, but also asset qualifier and full doc. And so that on the next slide, I'm going to flip it over to Jackie, and she can kind of touch on how we look at income on foreign national borrowers.
Thanks, Jamie. So if you have a foreign national that is a full doc wage earner, equivalent to a W-2 wage earner in the US, we can actually use that income if we can obtain a letter from the employer on company letterhead that suggests what the borrower's position is, their salary, their year-to-date earnings, and their earnings for the past 2 years. And we'll actually use that as income verification and consider that a full doc loan. If you have an alt doc or a self-employed borrower, if we have a letter from a licensed CPA or an equivalent to a license in the US, in their country of residence, on the CPA's letterhead that suggests what's the borrower's business, what's his year-to-date income, and the income for the last 2 years, we can actually use that as well for self-employed borrowers. For our asset qualifier program, we do require that the funds be in a US-based bank account for a minimum of 3 months. I'm going to put a little bit of a qualifier out there. So we do see a lot of Canadian borrowers, and there's TD Bank, which is obviously headquartered in Canada, but also pretty prominent in the US. So if the borrower's funds are in TD Bank in Canada, we don't necessarily require them to move them to a TD Bank branch in the US because the bank is domiciled in both countries. So that can help you with income verification. That's a little bit out of the box.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Jackie. And you all know that by proving income on a loan, as opposed to going to DSCR, you may in fact either get a better LTV and or better pricing. So a few different ways to look at that. And again, it's non-traditional because it's non-US. Hopefully you gain some knowledge there. I'm going to go over a couple of deals.
Sorry, Jamie, we have a question. Armando is asking if we operate in Texas.
We do. Thank you. We are fully licensed in the state of Texas, Armando. We've got account executives down there. If you don't have one, just respond and we'll have somebody contact you, please. Cool. I'm going to put a couple just live examples. These are deals we've funded here of not only foreign national borrowers, but deals that did have exceptions. And I'll let Jackie, because she's the one that usually ends up approving these things, just kind of talk to these scenarios.
Sure. This first one was the purchase of an investment property by a foreign national borrower. The borrower had some US credit, and we allowed the US credit and the credit scores. However, the borrower's US credit did not meet the trade line requirement, but they owned a primary residence in their country of residence, as well as other investment properties. So we took that into consideration, and we were able to make the exception for the trade lines because of the borrower's experience. We also had obviously an experienced investor, a low loan to value, and the borrower owned their primary residence. But we were able to make that exception and move forward.
That's great. Nice DSCR loan. High DSCR ratio always helps. Purchase. Here's another one.
Sure. So this one was the purchase of a second home by a foreign national. We had alt doc, we had a CPA letter, and a loan to value of 75%. This exception was to close in an individual's name. With foreign national borrowers, we do require that for investment properties that the property is vested to a US domiciled entity. Typically they're LLCs. And on a second home, sometimes we see that, but in this particular case, it was the borrower closing in their own name, and we approved that exception. So we had good reserves, we had a low debt ratio, the borrower had stable employment, and they owned their primary residence in their country of residence.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Jackie. And there you can see just common sense, right? It's a second home, well-qualified borrower. Would make sense in that transaction to not necessarily have the deal in an entity. So a couple examples: 75 LTV purchases, one investment, one second home. In this case, the first one was DSCR. In this case, we're using alt docs or CPA letter to qualify, which again got that borrower a better rate than a DSCR. Not to mention they do intend to use it as a second home. So there's a couple hopefully beneficial examples to you. Just real quick, I'm going to show you if you did want to take a ride to our webpage after you bring in some of these loans, you want to price one out or look at a scenario. So I'm going to try this. I'm not the most tech savvy guy. I'm going to share my screen here, which I don't think I did properly yet. Miriam's yelling at me. So, and let's see, that didn't work either. So now this is almost getting comical. Okay, well, that's fun. That being said, here we go. Just as I'm about to throw myself fully under the bus, here we are. So here's just a general foreign national loan when you come to our pricing engine. This is on ahlntpo.com. As the slide before showed, there's no credentials needed, so you can go here and price loans at your leisure. Basic foreign national structure is a DSCR purchase. We default, as mentioned earlier, to a 680 FICO. 1% DSCR, I'll put in a 5-year prepay. So here's the key right here in your citizenship. Just make sure you do in fact click foreign national. In this case, again, it's investment and a 75 LTV. And from there, you should probably get some approved pricing. So In that case, here you are, rate of 8.5, which I think is pretty decent for a par rate for a foreign national DSCR loan investment property. I'd be remiss, so again, just real quick, citizenship, that's the important part. I would be remiss if I just didn't quickly point out stacking. We have the ability here at AHL where you can finance your broker fee into the loan. So in this case, we have a $750,000 loan size. And let's say you as the broker wanted to make 2 points or $15,000. I'm just going to add your $15,000 fee to this loan. So you're now financing the broker fee. So your borrower does not have to bring that funds or those funds to the table any longer. And your LTV went to 76.5, which is above the LTV range. I'm going to rerun pricing and I got denied. Well, there's a little button over here. It says stacking fees. Click yes. So again, the only thing that changed here is we clicked yes on stacking. 75 LTV purchase, foreign national borrower. You're going to finance your broker fee now. And even though your LTV is 76.5, with our stacking feature, you see that you were not only approved for the higher LTV, but your pricing stayed at the original LTV. So just a little caveat there on stacking. Again, how you could potentially help your foreign national borrowers by bringing less funds to the table. All that is available here at ahlntpo.com. So with that being said, a quick summary. There are, as you saw, hopefully a significant number of foreign national buyers in the US every year. It's a multi-billion-dollar business. Hopefully you learn some of the top markets where to find these buyers, where they may come from, some of the reasons why they may in fact buy here, some methods on how to in fact look for this business, and some of those methods that we think are a little bit out of the box. We've seen other originators have great success with these. And lastly, how we partner with us here at AHL. We can help you grow your business and in fact originate more loans. That's why we're all here together today. That's the nature of our business. We want to help in any way we can. So with that being said, we will open to Q&A. If anybody has any questions, we'll be glad to try to answer them.
All right. What is your average closing time?
28.2 days from registration to funding.
All right.
We do close deals every month in 8 or 10 or 12 days. You know, we get fallout packages, etc., full packages. But in general, we think 28 days is probably best in class for non-QM.
All right. And then we have a comment. Byron says, great job. I like it. Thank you, Byron.
Well, thank you, Brian. We appreciate that. I'm glad you hopefully got something out of it and joined us.
Next question from Van. What is the prepayment penalty amount or percentage?
Sure. So it's 5% of the unpaid balance.
All right. 1 second. We have some more questions. Can you also send the recording? Yes, Bob, we will be sending you a recording within the next hour or two. It'll come to you automatically, to all the attendees. And can you fund second mortgages? Brian wants to know this.
Not at this time.
Okay, not at this time. All right. Next question. Can a buyer who is in another country buy the home?
Yes, that's the essence of the program. They don't even have to be in the US for the closing, technically. There's a variety of ways within our guidelines where the buyer or borrower can actually close a transaction outside of the US in their native country. There's different ways through consulates, embassies, and what's called apostille notary.
Perfect. Ken Walker would like to know if we also do ITIN loans.
We do not, Mr. Walker. Just true foreign nationals at this time.
All right, and then Fernando, many corporations have a rigid employment letter. Seems more like a comment. Many corporations have a rigid employment letter.
We do see those, and we look for verification of the income for the year-to-date income or monthly income, however they may be paid, and certainly the 2-year history. So kind of equivalent to verification of employment, but just on the company letterhead. And obviously any documents that are in a foreign language have to be translated to English.
Fantastic. All right. Maria wants to know, what is the minimum LTV?
There's no minimum LTV. We have a minimum loan size on DSCR of 75,000, but there's not necessarily a minimum LTV, just a max LTV at 75 on a purchase.
And what is our maximum?
LTV max would be 75.
Perfect, thank you. And John wants to know, how much principal balance can they pay down per year, if any?
With regard to the prepayment penalty,
I think that's what he's
Yeah.
alluding.
our loan documents suggest if there's more than 20% of the principal balance prepaid, they're subject to the prepayment penalty.
Thank you. All right, Iris wants to know, are we able to price studios in the pricing tool as well?
If it's a condo or even a condotel, we do see those. They absolutely can price in the pricing engine. We do have a minimum square foot requirement of 500. However, in the case of condotels, we often make exceptions on that, recognizing that a lot of them are smaller. So what we do look for is that there's a place, to rest, a place to prepare a meal, a place to bathe, and we can look at square footage exceptions on those properties.
Fantastic. Our next question from Jacqueline, do you need visas for foreign nationals?
So if we have a foreign national borrower that is purely foreign national, we do require a visa as well as a passport for identity purposes. If you have a non-permanent resident in the US and they're here on an employment authorization document, we don't need the visa with the employment authorization document, just the EAD. But yes, we do require a visa on a foreign national.
Thank you. Fernando has a follow-up to his comment in regards to the employment letter with corporations. He says that, for example, IBM will not issue a letter with 2 years history employment.
So if the borrower has equivalent of a W-2 or something of that nature that shows us what their income is, and obviously it's translated and converted to US dollars, we can use that.
Awesome. Next question, can you refer us to a legal counsel that can close our loans?
I'm sorry, I'm not certain I'm following the question. Counsel in a particular state?
I'll ask him to please clarify. All right. He says where the deal is. Please clarify, Brian. We're not quite sure what you're asking here. We'll come back to you. JT is asking, how do you join Asian Association being a Hong Konger?
There's a link. I don't know, in terms of the different country ramifications, but there's a link that's embedded here in the presentation that you'll get to join ARIA if needed.
Perfect, thank you. Next question, more of a hello. Bob Wexler is saying, hi, Jackie.
Hello, Bob.
All right, moving on. Another question from JT. Do we do bridge to permanent purchase loans for self-employed? One free and clear property is being listed for sale.
We absolutely do primary bridge, and we'll also finance the acquiring property.
Absolutely, thank you so much. All right, Sam wants to know if an LLC is required for foreign investors, or can we fund in their name?
We prefer a US domiciled LLC with a point of service in the US. It's kind of hard to serve a foreign national borrower if in fact, you get into a foreclosure situation. So we do prefer that on investment properties, that they are vested and closed in some sort of an entity.
Understood. All right, next question or more comment. Armando saying, thank you very much. This is a great presentation. Thank you, Armando. We have, let's see, we have one more question. Do you need a FICO score? That's question, there's several questions here. So first question, do you need a FICO score?
We will default to a 680 FICO score for foreign national borrowers.
The next
do-
follow-up, go ahead,
I'm
I'm sorry.
We do require 2 credit references of some sort of financing, whether it's a mortgage or, a loan that they have in their country of residence. So we do require 2 foreign credit references, but we will default to a 680 FICO score.
Great. And then the same person has some additional questions. What program, I guess, can we do the foreign national on?
From a program perspective, if you mean it'd be a fixed rate, or in terms of our program offerings, it would be what we call Rising Star or InvestStar or InvestStar Plus.
Yep. And how do you price it?
So as Jackie mentioned, we'll default to a 680 FICO. So if you have our rate sheets, you would go off the 680 FICO and just use your applicable LTV. Or as mentioned, you can go to ahlentpo.com, our webpage there at the bottom. And there's a link for our quick pricer right there. You do not need credentials. And just make sure when you're pricing the deal that on the citizenship drop down that you do in fact put foreign national.
Beautiful. Same individual is saying, when you price the loan, looks like we have to enter the low mid FICO. I think we've answered her question, saying 680 if they don't have a FICO score. Am I right?
Yes.
All right, great. Moving on. We have a lot of questions. Thank you guys. Keep them coming.
Awesome.
Stephen Holdquist. Hello, Jackie. Many years of an awesome relationship in the lending business. What are the top 2 reasons investors deny a loan for?
Wow.
Great question.
We try really hard not to deny loans, rather to restructure them into a scenario that will work. So I would say the credit, obviously, if there's credit that just falls so far out of the box that there's just nothing you can do with that. That seems to be a big one. And probably DSCR ratios. So we now have a no ratio or low ratio program. So we used to have a stop at 75 DSCR, but now we have a low ratio program. So we don't really see a whole lot of denials there any longer. And I'm not really certain what I would consider like the second most, denial. Property, maybe,
Nice. All right. Brian came back. He is the individual who asked us about lawyers, if we have any referrals. He is currently in Canada, but he does his deals in Florida, Arizona, and Canada, and he would like to know if we have any referrals for him, for attorneys.
We have referrals, Brian, for you in the U.S., particularly some nationwide title companies that can probably help you with all the states that you deal in, so you have one point of contact. Not so much in Canada, unfortunately. We don't have those references at this time. But if you reach out to your account executive or reach out to us on the side, we've got a couple people we can refer you to on the U.S. side.
Absolutely. All right, moving right along. Antonio wants to know, do you need translated documents?
We do. So if they're in a foreign language, we need them translated by a professional translator to English, please.
All right. JT says, would you please provide a summarized foreign national loan key niches? This is a great presentation. Thank you all for your hard work.
Yes,
We can
JT,
do that.
we'll send you some stuff, and we actually have some foreign national product flyers. So we can send you some good bullet points on the product. We also, just for touching on that for all of you, we have a pretty good resource here for private label marketing. So we have some flyers or marketing collateral already created, including for the foreign nationals. And within our broker portal, which once you're signed up with us, and I'm sure you want to be after this presentation, that's my sales pitch, but you'll get credentials for our broker portal. Once you log into that portal, there's a tab right there that it's a wealth of resources in that portal. There's a tab that says marketing, and on that is a series of flyers. And when you click on it, it'll automatically pre-populate your information. So it'll say foreign national loans up to 75 LTV, It'll touch on maybe income types or collateral types, and it'll have your name, your contact info, and your NMLS at the bottom. Then that way you can now market this product to your realtors or some of the groups that we mentioned.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Next question. What is the minimum FICO score for cash out refis on the DSCR loan for a US investor?
660.
Thank you. Do we require an appraisal for the subject property?
Yes.
Yilin Yu wants to know, how do I see what document is needed for each program? Maybe for submission documents?
We do have a submission form that identifies for you for each one of our products what we're looking for from a document submission perspective. That's also housed within our portal.
All right. If you're having issues finding that, Yilin, feel free to email us, and we will be happy to get back to you with instructions. All right. For now, this looks like all of the, oh, no, spoke too fast. Next question. If possible, can we translate foreign docs ourselves, or does it have to be translated by a third party?
Our guidelines call for a third-party translator, that is a licensed translator. If in fact, we need to look at an exception, we can, but we do, as a general rule, require a professional translator.
Fantastic. All right, next question. Do you need visa for foreign nationals? Sorry, didn't see if you responded.
Yes, we do require a visa.
All right, but we don't care what kind of visa. Is that correct, Jackie?
It's, our guidelines spell out visas that are allowable. We do make exceptions on those. And certainly in today's time, with regard to DACA borrowers or borrowers here on an emergency basis. So we can look beyond our guidelines, but it is spelled out within our guidelines.
All right, thank you. And Jenna wants to know if we will be sending a recording because she unfortunately missed the webinar. And yes, Jenna, you will receive an email within the next couple of hours with a link to the recording. Thank you for your question. For now, that's all the questions that we have.
Those are good questions. Appreciate those from the group. I think, in any of these settings, one person asks a question, many get to learn from the same question. So thank you for those.
All right.
We're happy to help you with any scenarios that you have. So certainly reach out to your account executive and they can help you structure scenarios if you'd like.
And if they don't have an AE, Jackie, who do they reach out to?
Jamie.
Yes, there's a general TPO email box. You can reach out to me as well, although good luck spelling my last name. But it's on the slide as well. If you don't have an AE, we'll certainly get you in touch with somebody. We're glad to help.
Beautiful. All right, thank you everybody for joining. This was fantastic. We are looking forward to our next webinar sometime in April. We'll make sure to alert everyone of the date and the topic very soon.
Thanks again for joining.
Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.